So you're looking at an unprecedented cost of living crisis. You're looking at families who never thought they'd be touched by the sort of experiences that they are now enduring. You're looking at a political landscape which has seen rises in taxes, rises in prices, no commensurate real rise in wages, relatively high employment. So there are not sort of lots of opportunities out there that are currently going untaken. And somehow a government minister can look at that scenario and conclude that what you need to do if you're struggling is work extra hours or get another job. Now, there is perhaps a little bit of Brexit underpinning the first bit of that, given that European Union legislation protected British workers from exploitative employers who would sort of demand that they work 60-hour weeks or whatever it may be. So that may well be coming up on the scrap heap soon. Your freedom to say no to an employer who wants you to work interminable hours may be compromised because, as with freedom of movement, that sort of freedom is not something that this government appears to cherish or value. They will do for themselves, of course, but not for you or for me. I just want to know the reality of it in the first instance. 0345 6060973. As Alan in Cowdenbeath suggests, move to a better job, James. Move to a better paid job. Oh, my days. It's so easy and it's so obvious. Why didn't I think of that? Says Alan in Cowdenbeath. It's got a touch of the Eustaces to it, this pronouncement, and I'll talk in a moment about the never-ending supply of these clowns. So George Eustace suggests if you're struggling to do the weekly shop now, if you're struggling to feed your family, have you thought of buying value food? That comes from a government minister, Secretary of State no less. Today's contribution to this absolutely catastrophic conversation comes from someone called Rachel McLean. Says, if you're struggling financially, have you thought of getting a better paid job? Oh, Keith, get the boss online too, will you? It's time I got a better paid job. It's easy, right? You just ask, do you? What happens? So that's question number one. Talk to me about the plausibility of you working more hours or getting a better paid job. So I'm afraid, once again, the invitation goes out chiefly to people who are struggling, because that's important context, isn't it? But it's the idea, oh yes, I hadn't thought. I'll tell you what, this is only mildly tongue-in-cheek. Give me a ring if you'd never thought of that before. 0345 6060973. If you're sitting there this morning with a whopping great light bulb going bing, 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 above your head, thinking, that's why I like this lot. Doff cap, tug, full lock. Thank you, Rachel. I'll get on the phone right now. Actually, I can't. I'll wait until I've got some credit, and then I'll get on the phone right now, and I will get myself a better paid job, or I'll demand more hours than I'm already working. The kids can bring them home. The kids can bring themselves home from school, can't they? Cook their own tea once they get hold of some food, which we'll have loads of because we're going to start buying the value range. In a minute, we're going to have a better paid job, and we're going to have value range food. We're going to be living the life of Riley. We're going to be living like royalty relatively soon. So, talk me through your personal situation. I know it might not be easy to run through it. You may well, of course, be listening to this and thinking, yes, actually, gosh, yes, actually, it's all very well, James, with his lefty woke politics, but actually, it never occurred to me before that I could simply get a better paid job. That's exactly what I'm going to do. 0345 6060973. Sue in Ramsgate asks, so when we move to the better paid jobs, James, who's going to do all the poorly paid jobs that are currently... That's the sort of mealy-mouthed, woke, moany, Ramona nonsense that is holding this country back, Sue. Who's going to do all the poorly paid jobs when everyone with a poorly paid job has moved into a better paid job like Government Minister Rachel McLean advises? It's that sort of pessimism that is holding this country back from the sunlit uplands that we were promised by our dear leader, Boris Johnson. So you wash your mouth out with soap and water, Sue, please, and don't come back onto this switchboard or into my inbox until you've got a big dose of boosterism and more belief. What's going on in your world? And a question that we dance around now almost all the time, and I probably need to change the record slightly, but until I get a better grasp of it, I'm not going to. How can she end up thinking that? How can you be in the House of Commons? How can you be party, presumably, to the same news that you and I are party to? We live in the same country, the same newspapers. I read the right-wing newspapers most mornings first to know what's going on, to know what the enemy is thinking. And it is all there. The cost of living crisis is not a figment of somebody's imagination. The numbers are there. It's not an opinion. It's counting. And yet a government minister can appear briefed, knowing it's not like she got ambushed on her way out of Tesco's. So someone shoved the microphone under her nose and said, "Oh, by the way, what advice would you give to people who are struggling to make ends meet?" And she just went, I don't know, get a better job, work more hours. She's briefed. She's going in to a television studio knowing full well that she might be asked a couple of difficult questions about the cost of living crisis. And that's what she comes out with. Get a better paid job or work more hours. So if, like me, you're lucky enough not to be in the catchment area that she is castigating, if, like me, you're lucky enough to have a few quid, or at least to be able to pay your bills without lying awake in bed at night, what explains to you, especially if you vote for them, or you voted for them, how can it be? How can they be inhabiting such a nonsensical universe? A universe, what is it? Is it an absence of empathy? Is it an absence of intelligence, emotional intelligence? Is it something else? Is it just denialism? Is it like, well, I don't want to believe things are as bad as they actually are, because then something. How can a member of government, how can George Eustace suggest, how can he believe? And Lee Anderson, of course, who thinks the only reason why you're struggling to feed your family is because you haven't had cooking lessons. What is it in the minds of these people that makes them, I'm going to apologise, it makes them so unpleasant, so fundamentally and performatively unpleasant? It's a level of ignorance that if you found yourself thinking it, if you were possessed of a modicum of decency, you'd stay silent, right? If this thought appeared in your head, is it contempt? Is it just contempt for the less fortunate? That will let them eat gruel, says Lee Anderson, or words to that effect. 30p, that's all you need. Oh, they just need to get a better paid job, says Rachel McLean, who almost certainly is another one who claimed over 200 grand in expenses. I never know how relevant that is, but it might be part of the answer to the question of how can they be so out of touch. And if you're struggling to do your weekly shop, have you thought about going down the cheap aisle, buying the value food? Maybe hang around at 4 o'clock when they mark the stuff down so you can get the stuff that's about to go out of date at a knockdown price. You ever thought of doing that? George Eustace is always there. I'll tell you what, you should see George Eustace going into the scrum around the bargain bin in Morrison's or Asda. I mean, he's like Brian Moore in his pomp. The guy running into a rugby melee. He's always there. What's that? They've just marked down some spam. I'll have that, thank you very much. Pushing old ladies out of the way. It's incredible to see. I jest, of course, but without humour, I don't know how you hold this stuff together. 18 minutes after 10 is the time. Question number 1. How feasible is it for you to get a better paid job? 0345 6060 973. Question number 2. Is there a never-ending conveyor belt of these people? Oh, you just need to learn how to cook. Oh, you just need to buy value food. Oh, you just need to get a better paid job. How do they end up thinking this? Question number 2. Question number 3, how do they end up saying it out loud? Here are the numbers now. You will get through. It's Monday morning as well, so maybe a little slow to start, which is my exhortation or reminder to you that if you have been thinking for a while of getting involved in the most popular talk show on commercial radio in this country, then today would be a good day to do it, to break your duck, especially because you probably know more about this issue than I do.